Hey, everybody, welcome to Cars with Cocktails, a show where we join two things go perfect together, drinking and driving. Today, I'm joined by my co-host, Charles, a.k.a. the Humble Mechanic. And what are we going to be talking about today?
Today, my friends, welcome to the show. We are talking about service advisors. Bwah, bwah, bwah. You may remember a while back, we did a show where I think we intended on the onset of the show we talked about salespeople, but I think our intent was like, we're going to throttle these moron salespeople. And it took a weird turn. And I feel like we ended up actually like standing up and sticking up for salespeople way more than I expected to. So we might go down that path with service advisors as well today, or we might just, really lay the hammer down. I, of course, was a professional technician at a dealership for the majority of my working career, I think, at this point. So had several service advisors, some that were absolutely fantastic, and some that you could tell me that this roll cart was red, and I would not believe them because they were lying two-faced shitheads. The spread is pretty large. Today's drink, however, you can't tell what it is while it's in this cup, but it is a Long Island iced tea. I think Paul picked the drink with literally the most alcohol variety in it that you could possibly have. And I actually, I was for many years a very big Long Island enthusiast. Most of those years I was sub 21. I wasn't drinking them, of course, then. I was just, interested in them as a cultural phenomenon. This is back when like Applebee's would have $1.99 Long Island night, and we would just leave work and go to Applebee's across the parking lot and get smashed on $2 Long Islands, which for $10, you're like borderline dead. So I also actually spent a couple years like really trying to perfect the Long Island iced tea, and it's probably been, I don't know, a million years since I've had one. So cheers to the drink with vodka, triple sec.
I'm gonna give you a list right here: half ounce of gin, half ounce of rum, half ounce of vodka, half ounce of tequila, half ounce of triple sec, 1 ounce of sour mix, I think, or lemon juice, and 1 or 2 ounces of cola. It says to taste, which would obviously vary depending on your interest of how drunk you'd like to get and how much alcohol flavor you like to go along with that. So while I'm making my drink, and first of all, if we're going to say the drink, we have to say the name right, and it's a Long Island iced tea. You got to say it with
long guy, like long, hard G.
Yeah, Long Island iced tea, like if you were an Italian.
I am for sure not going to be saying it that way, but it's funny, you were reading the ingredients at half an ounce, and I, in typical dude fashion, did not read the instructions. I just could remember what alcohol was in it, and I just did 1.5 ounces of each, which essentially,
that's a lot,
I guess, then is the equivalent of 3 Long Island iced teas. If I make it through this show and finish this drink and I don't pass out, it'll be a damn miracle. But yep, that is not terrible. I think it probably needs more lime juice. Okay, as you all know, I'm a lime juice enthusiast.
Love limes, way better than lemons.
Absolutely. So let's get popping on the topic while Paul finishes his 72,000 ingredient.
I would like to hear
Long Island iced tea.
At the onset, I would like to hear the dumbest thing you've ever heard a service advisor say to a customer.
Oh my gosh. I wish I had time to prepare that statement, because boy, are there some doozies. I did overhear, this wasn't my service advisor, I did overhear a service advisor actually tell a customer their car was going to crash if they didn't make this repair. Lord knows what the heck the repair was at that point in time. I really have a hard time remembering specific instances. It's kind of more of like the vibe of a service advisor. And let's I think first define the service advisor and the service advisor role, as it is. And then I think what really, the way I like to think of it is another way. And then I think really what it should be. So when you take your car in to get serviced in general, especially any kind of bigger repair facility, you're going to go in and you're going to meet with the service advisor. This is the one that takes down all your information, listens to your concerns. Then that service advisor is supposed to take that information, relay it to the technician, and, the car gets repaired or diagnosed or whatever. So essentially they function as sort of a go-between between the customer and the technician. In a lot of ways, I like to think of a service advisor as my own personal secretary, in kind of like their base level form. However, a good service advisor is actually a huge asset, not only to a customer, because the service advisor is that role that can really advocate for a customer. They can be a huge asset for a technician if they're good. They can be almost career ending if they're bad. And I've kind of worked the spectrum, but essentially they function as that go-between, because, a lot of shops don't let their technicians talk to customers. A lot of technicians don't want to talk to customers, which I totally understand. However, I think it's wrong. However, you can make the case to me that oftentimes a customer will monopolize your time in what ends up being a negative fashion. But so I'm going to go back a little bit in my history with service advisors. My first advisor that I started with at the dealership was such a good dude, like just older gentleman, real chill, real laid back, didn't give a damn about just about anything, which was great because then customers really did trust him. And, he and I worked together really, really well. After he left, my advisor that I had next was the best advisor I've ever had. He was a technician that was on my team back in the shop. So I worked with him, as a tech. He moved up to the front, and it was great. I could write up a car, throw the sheet on Kevin's desk, and not have to worry about anything else from there. So Kevin was really, really great. The service advisors after that ranged from a dude who was legit a good dude, however, only motivated when he wanted something. So technicians and service advisors and service departments all together, right, get paid on the job. If there's no work, no one's getting paid, no one's making money. When a technician writes up a car that needs, say, a timing belt, the technician gets paid X, the service advisor gets paid something on parts and labor on that as well. So if you're thinking about an advisor and a technician as a team working together, then it can be a really positive relationship. However, I think a lot of times they don't actually work together, right? As friends, they butt heads and work against each other, unfortunately. And then I had a dude, he was just a lying fool and I didn't care for him. Then I had a lady advisor after that, a lady advisor. That sounded like such a douchebag thing to say. Definitely didn't mean it to come up as such a douchebag thing. Yeah. She was one of those females in the service advisor role. No, she could be amazing. She was really good at selling and identifying problems to customers and talking through them and helping them out. But if it didn't exist in the little box that was defined by the rules, then it didn't exist and it could never happen, which was mad frustrating because I always like to work in that area where I'm advocating for the customer in a way that we all kind of win, right? I get paid, customer gets taken care of as best they can, and everybody wins. And she wasn't necessarily that. So we struggled, but eventually we got on the same page.
Yeah, I've had certainly, I think everybody who's been in the industry any amount of time has the whole gambit of experience with advisors. If you haven't, I guess maybe either good for you or really bad for you, because you may have worked at a place where there hasn't been a lot of turnover, and sometimes that's for a good reason, sometimes for a bad reason. I straight off the bat, the probably one of the worst things I remember an advisor ever saying to a customer, or at least one of the stupidest things that really stands out in my head, not like a heated exchange type situation, which those situations do happen from time to time. But this was completely selling a customer a job. The customer, it was actually happened to be a woman, which makes the situation way worse.
The
is that
customer,
the customer was a woman. The
Okay.
customer was a woman. Advisor was a man. And he said to her, she asked him like, hey, you need to replace X. And she asked for like more detail about it to explain it. And
A reasonable question that I wish more customers would ask.
100% reasonable question. I think most people are nervous to ask that because they don't want to look stupid or whatever. And the reality is, everybody should be glad to explain it to the best of their ability. But this is because this guy was a fucking dumbass and didn't actually know what the fuck he was talking about. He said to her, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a great thing to have happen right now, because women are already have this problem of feeling like they're treated poorly because they're a woman. And now you, because you're too stupid to know what the fuck is going on, and then you have an ego on top of it, you don't want to admit it. You could just say, let me talk to my advisor or my tech and have him explain it more thoroughly. But instead, you decide to make this woman feel like you're shitting on her because you're a fucking idiot.
Way to go, Johnny Big Dick.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about service advisors. And you mentioned the ego thing. There is something about it. Maybe it's like an outward ego to overcome that they just don't know what the hell that they're talking about. But man, I don't know if this is fact or not. It may just be my opinion, of course, which it is. The service advisor role, the service advisor might be like overall the most egotistical position in the dealership. It's fucking weird. Like, it's like the technician needs the advisor, and they're, God's gift to the automotive industry. And thank God this advisor's here. Otherwise, the technician is so dumb, they wouldn't know what to do. And the customer, oh, Lord and Savior service advisor, thank you for allowing me to come into your building and bring my vehicle to thy. It's weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it oftentimes comes to the territory of being a necessity, right? It's not. So to me, on the polar spectrums of what you could be in terms of a service advisor is you could be on one spectrum, you could be basically a car salesman for the service department. And on the other spectrum, you could be a technician who, I would say the best case scenario would be a technician who's capable of selling stuff and dealing with people. That's probably the best case scenario, right?
Yeah, I would agree. The tech that has the technical side and can explain to a customer what an EGR valve does and, whatever. I can't think of no car parts right now. How an airflow meter works, or whatever it is, why they need this certain repair. That's good with customers. And like, I often thought I would have been an amazing service advisor. However, it would have always been a pay cut for me because I definitely made more money as a technician.
The thing that I think happens is most technicians are really not good at talking to people. They're not good with humans, which is why they're technicians most of the time. And that oftentimes leads towards people, I've known techs who go into being a service advisor or service manager, and they often do a terrible job of managing it and dealing with it. Two reasons. One, it's a tough job. I think that's the one thing I think we can probably both agree on, that the service advisor is kind of the punching bag of the dealership in terms of from customers, because warranty.
Yeah. Well, they get it from everyone, right? When a customer comes in pissed off their car's broken, who do they talk to? The service advisor. When a technician isn't making any money, who are they bitching and blaming? The service advisor. When something happens in the service drive, who's the service manager? Come blame. Service advisor. When sales has been out of shape, right? You get the point.
Right.
They are
100%. It is not. It is probably one of the longest hours and most stressful in terms of just pressure on a day-to-day basis jobs. Now, I think oftentimes that leads towards having people who do that job who may not be doing it for all the right reasons. and being commission based, it always has bad incentives to go with it. So, you see things like stealing other people's appointments and fucking people out of work that should a job they sold. The customer comes in for the appointment and they steal it. So, let's break it down for people who aren't familiar. Technicians and pretty much most dealer employees are paid commission-based pay, which means they only get paid on the work they do. For advisors and technicians, that's based off of hours produced or sold. And what happens is if you've done work to sell a job, when it comes back in, the appointment is supposed to belong to you because you've already done all the work to sell the work. That's the easy part, is basically taking them in and getting their car fixed after the fact. You've already managed all the rest of the stuff. So it can, depending on the culture of the dealership and the management in place and what they allow to have happen, can get really nasty and very cutthroat if they don't have tight reins on everything. And it is a very dog eat dog world, and people fuck each other left and right, which makes people have to work a shit ton of hours to have to protect themselves from getting fucked.
Yeah, nothing like having to stay late just to prevent your coworker across the desk from sticking it in you. You asked me what the dumbest thing an advisor I had ever heard an advisor say was, and I'm gonna think of it because there's something that's just like
the list is so long.
Mind-stoppingly stupid. But anyway, this wasn't a specific thing an advisor said, but this is a situation, you brought up some of the animosity and kind of fighting that can happen. We had an advisor same guy that told the customer she was definitely going to crash her car if she didn't do the work. Well, he and another advisor were like not getting along, screaming at each other all the time. The lady advisor, I feel like the biggest douchebag saying it that way. One of the two involved in this party was a woman and the other was a dude. Well, anyway, her husband came up and was all bow-chested, flexing on the other advisor. And that advisor would have got his ass whooped if it came to that. But I'm like, how? Y'all are adults. You all aren't 17, right?
Yeah, we're not.
Y'all are damn adults. And you're seriously telling me this shit's gonna come to a fist fight? But man, when you fuck with somebody's money, and also if you're legit being a dickhead to somebody's wife who doesn't deserve it, okay, maybe she did. I don't know. I wasn't there for all the scenarios, but yes, your boyfriend's gonna come beat this dude up over what?
I certainly. I personally haven't had too many female advisors. I had one that not that I dealt with as a tech, because obviously I wasn't a tech for a super long time. But while I was in management, we had a female advisor. Ironically enough, and the dealer I used to work at has some, I think a bunch of female advisors now. I think 2 of the 3 are women of the main advisors. But the one I worked with, she was more sexist than any guy that worked there for sure. She would. When it came to women, she was very nah. It was a weird scenario.
Nah, ain't happening. There was a time where we traditionally had 4 to 5 service advisors at the dealer I worked at, and there was a time where all 4 of them were women. And I'm trying to think who the 4th one was. I can remember the 3 of them, but who the 4th one was. And I got to tell you, dude, I realize the automotive industry is it's almost heavy-handed saying that it's so male dominated. Duh, of course it is. But man, when these chicks were on their game, they were damn good.
Oh yeah.
And dudes wanted to work with them because I'm working with the chick, right? They could be attractive or not. It didn't really matter. It was just the chick that was working there. Women seemed to trust them more because it wasn't like Johnny Big Dick trying to flex on how much he knew and make them feel stupid and taking advantage of them. They did great.
I think women advisors actually do better for both reasons. One, women tend to trust them more because they already have that kind of that really angst around just coming into a dealership in general. And I think most people do. And then the other thing you said about men, I actually think not even just the attractiveness, although that always helps. Attractive women are always going to have kind of people funnel towards them as a general rule. Women and men. But because of the ego thing with guys, they don't have to worry about saying they don't know necessarily sometimes to women. Now, sometimes that's flipped, right? We deal with sometimes, and it was kind of surprising to me when we brought on a female who deals with a lot of customer service stuff on our end. She's knowledgeable. She's knowledgeable about cars. She knows what she's talking about. She's not a technician level knowledge, but she's sharp. She knows what she's talking about. And on occasion, we deal with some really sexist shitheads. So more surprising than I expected, but like, she'll answer the phone and be like, you're just a girl who answers the phone. Let me talk to somebody who knows things.
That is so yeah. Like, of course it still exists today, right? I don't know that is ever going to go away.
Right.
But man, like
generationally, it probably will eventually, but
maybe. I mean, it's definitely better today than it was 30 years ago. That's for, I like to think anyway, for damn sure. But it's stupid. But to be fair, if they call the next place over, the odds of the lady who answers the phone not knowing anything but how to like have really great phone etiquette may be pretty high.
Yes. Maybe.
Doesn't excuse it. Does not excuse you being a dick face though.
It doesn't, because also the reality, it's just like when, to maybe shit talk technicians a little bit, people who are technicians who call parts stores and act like a complete shit face to the parts guy before they know how much he knows and doesn't know. And B, it's like, and I know because I was a parts person for such a long time in my life, it's like there are people who are waiting to get you to say something that they can like be triggered by and say that you're a fucking asshole who doesn't know anything. It's a weird dynamic, and I think it happens probably on both ends in a lot of different ways. And just dummies,
Yeah, it's I'm just picturing like they're trying to set this up to like back when I was in tech school. I remember this guy was like walking around in class one day. He's like, yeah, you know what you should do? You should call the parts place and ask them for blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, not knowing whatever the hell kind of car he was. Keep in mind, this was a million years ago, so I don't remember exactly what he said, but like whatever the car and whatever the party was, I'm like, well, why is that a weird thing? He's like, oh, well, they never made that car in 1992 or whatever year it was, right? So I'm like, actually, dude, they did. Like there was that car in that model year. And he's like, no, man, no, it's not. And, you ask the instructor and he's like, oh, yeah, they totally did. And then he feels like a dick. Like, bro, you don't know every fucking thing about your job, right? There's shit about what you do that you don't damn know. Why are you trying to be a dickhead just to be a dickhead? Because you're stupid and insecure and you want to make yourself feel like Johnny Big Dick? It's dumb.
As a general rule, yes, I think ego usually drives us. I mean, frankly, there are things, I don't know if you have this experience. I do all the time. Legitimately, I have somebody here who works here, obviously at our business, either here or at the shop, who will ask me a question and be like, hey, what about this? And I will literally be like, I don't know. I have to look at one of the videos that I've made in the past.
Yes, I did that today, actually.
Because I've made videos that I literally can remember zero of. I don't even remember a single thing about it. And I've made a video showing people how to replace it. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. I'm not a technician. I don't work on cars every day. So yeah, I don't remember how to do things because I don't do it all the time. That's a weird thing for most people to realize. Like, I literally have videos that I've made that I couldn't tell you. Not only can I not tell you anything about it, I can't tell you even what I said.
I had that today. So I have a friend of the family's S10 here. If you look right here, this is the chocolate milk engine oil that came out of it.
Yeah. 4.3
blown head gasket. So did a video on it. And I was trying to remember something about the 2.5 head gaskets because the 2.5s, it's not widespread problems, but they fail time to time. And I'm like, I know I did a video on it. I don't remember what I said. Let me go watch this video. And then I watched the video, and keep in mind, this video is 4 years old, 5 years old, maybe at this point. I'm like, wow, whoever edited this did a shitty job. And then I'm like, man, this dude needs to calm the hell down on this video. He's like animated as shit. It's weird to go back and watch those old videos and see that. Back to service advisors. So I wasn't born with this theory and this ideal relationship, service advisor and technician, because that's where my compass points, right? When I think of a service advisor, I'm thinking of the relationship between a technician and a service advisor first. Then I'm kind of thinking it from a customer standpoint. And, I read so much from technicians trashing service advisors. They're stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand how to sell anything. And to be fair, they could be 100% right. However, what my next thought is, well, like, y'all are a team, right?
When was the last time one of these, I will say, in defense of advisors in this circumstance, why don't you get the fucking balls instead of that? Why don't you sell it next time?
Well, most technicians would clam up and hang the phone up if they were ever forced to sell anything.
Of course.
But look, right? We all have our roles in what we do. You're a technician. Your role is to fix cars. Your advisor is in some ways to act as your secretary, and in some ways to act as your wingman, we'll call it, right? You're working together. We both have the same goal. We want to get the car in. We want to figure out what's wrong with it. We want to upsell some work if that's what we can do. We want the customer to be happy and not scream at us. If you're a technician and you are not happy with your service advisor, before you start mouthing off on a damn Facebook group, think about what you're doing to help that service advisor be better. Are you doing writing a write-up and throwing it on their desk and then being shitty when the customer doesn't buy anything? Are you talking down to them and how stupid they are? Look, as a technician, this is going to tear on technicians a little bit. It's probably appropriate. I love y'all, but y'all know I'm right. As a technician, when you work on a car, and let's say the car needs brakes, right? You write up the thing. Your job is to sell that job to your service advisor. Because if your service advisor doesn't believe that shit needs it, how the fuck do you think that they're going to sell it to a customer who already doesn't trust a fucking word out of their mouth? Here's a hint, bro. They're not going to sell it.
How about when it comes from a tech who might have the nickname of 50 Cent, which is the tech who sells pads at 50% life?
You remember the valve cover cam adjuster gasket on the 1.8s and V6s back in the Mark IV B5?
They all leaked.
All of them leaked. It got so bad where people were upselling warranty work, which is not something you can do.
Not allowed. Yeah.
We had a guy that would pretty much every single car that came in needed this. And so rather than calling it a valve cover cam adjuster set or whatever, we would call it a Smith kit. So because that was, the dude would just sell it on every car. Warranty, doesn't matter. Customer, yeah, there's a little bit of moisture there. So yeah, we called them Smith kits. Oh, I like the 50 Cent one though.
Yeah.
That one's funny too. But anyway, you as a technician should be helping your advisor. You should be giving them the ammunition to sell the job. If that means you got to walk their happy ass back to the shop and show them what the fuck you're talking about, you walk their happy ass back to the shop and show them what the fuck you're talking about.
Also, let's keep in mind, sometimes the customer doesn't have the fucking money. They can't pay for it.
I think especially in the VW world, because we're so programmed to what a job costs, right? I don't know. A brake job costs $400, for example. Don't quote me on $400. I don't know how much it is, but let's say a brake job costs $400. We write it up as brake job, $400. I'm going to make $50 on it, maybe 35, whatever it is. We forget what it's like in the customer's head. Because when's the last time you got a fucking $500 bill, $400 bill, and you're like, hell yeah, I can't wait to pay this. This is going to be great. I'm guessing never, unless you got a $2,000 bill reduced to $500.
Yeah, it certainly, and I think technicians certainly lack any empathy for the customer because because they're so walled garden from the customer, it's easy for them to disconnect, right? And I think probably technicians who tend to be more engaged with customers are more likely to actually give a shit. And to me, it's one of the reasons why I think, as hard as it is, I think people should cross train in most jobs. I mean, as we've grown as a business, I've actually thought about doing that in terms of our people in our warehouse versus people on the phones, just to like get a little bit of a feel. I'm kicking that idea around to get a little bit of a feel for what it's like to be on the other side. So when when someone ships something wrong, it's like, now you know what it's like to talk to the fucking customer who now we've screwed over because we've made a mistake, and vice versa.
I agree. It's a huge advantage to have that. We'll stay in the technician advisor role. When that technician writes up a quote and throws it on the service advisor desk and then go bitches that they don't ever sell anything. Well, how about put yourself in that service advisor's shoes when someone brings you a piece of paper, says car need brakes, and they spell it BREAKS. Car need brakes. What car need brakes? What the fuck does that mean? I get like front, rear. How much percentage does it need rotors? Like, help me out, bro. It's so valuable. And in a case like you're talking about, that warehouse person may not realize that, like, okay, it's just a spark plug. I messed it up. Everybody makes mistakes, right? But yeah, now that car's down for 4 fucking days because you forgot one spark plug, right? I think the key there, you really hit on it, was just having some empathy for the other party involved and what's going on. I was never the best technician in the world, for sure. Definitely not the fastest in the shop either. But I felt like I had like this good balance of all the things, right, that really can help you be a good technician. And one of those things that really set me apart from other people, especially early in my career where I didn't have a fucking clue how the hell to fix a car, was the ability to talk to a customer. Like, you can relate to a customer. You understand what it's to have a car that's broken or anything that's broken. I mean, that shit sucks. And I was not afraid to talk to that customer. Like, service advisor wants you to talk to a customer. Cool, I got this. Because I know by the time we're done, this customer is either going to still be a dickhead. Nothing was going to change that. Or like, this is now my customer forever. And it doesn't matter where I go. It doesn't matter who my service advisor is. They don't give a shit about that. That's when your service advisor really does become your secretary. They're going to come and see me. And I feel like if you're a technician and that's not at least
a goal,
an arrow in your quiver, you're I don't want to say you're doing it wrong, because I don't think that's fair. But what I will say with pure confidence,
you're not the top.
You are missing out on a lot of the best customers you can possibly have.
And this is something that, as a shop, I can tell you this for sure, because obviously we have an advisor who works at our shop. He's a former dealer advisor. He has a lot of experience, but the parts of him that are amazing, and this is the reason why I wanted him on in the first place when we brought him, is he gives a shit. He gives a shit. He cares about people. He wants to take care of them properly. He's capable of selling work. But the reality is that care about people, do the right thing when it's needed, which sometimes means foregoing money financially, because there are times we talk people out of things. I mean, shit, I can tell you, we had a customer at the shop. They had a Mark 1 TT that was a nightmare, had like stop leak in it. The top was fucked up, had water leaks, all kinds of problems from the water leaks because the convenience modules is behind the top area and the water leaks on it. And like the list was immense how many things are wrong. We were actively trying to talk this woman out of doing anything to her car, and she didn't. Now, again, that's one circumstance, but as a general rule, we are the advocate for the customer. Now us as a business, when you're small, easier said than done, right? When you get to a dealership level, now it's a little bit of a different situation. But ideally, an advisor is an advocate for the customer, but selling the work that should be sold.
That also comes with helping a customer prioritize. And this should, honestly, I think this should be done on the ticket before the customer is ever aware, between the technician and the service advisor.
100%.
Even something as simple as saying, hey, Mrs. Jones, you got 3 things wrong with your car. We need to get this one taken care of today, right? This is what you brought it in for. This is going to be problematic. This other one, if you have the budget, really good idea to do it now. This third one, you know what? Let's put this off until the next oil change.
With that said, I agree with you 100%. But the thing that I see happen, or I've seen happen, I wouldn't say I've seen happen, but that does happen, is technician picks most priority based on most gravy.
Yeah, that's a dick face move.
It is. And frankly, to me, it's a management problem, because as soon as that happens one time, it's like, nah, fuck you. You no longer get to choose anymore. Now somebody else picks.
Yeah. That'd be an ultimate kick in the dick, right?
Yeah.
But you deserve it. I mean, look, it boils down to this. The way technicians are paid is not perfect. Some people hate the flat rate system. I am kind of in this weird space where I don't hate it. I made a lot of money on flat rate. Flat rate simply means you get paid by the job no matter how long it takes. If a brake job pays 3 hours and you do it in 2, great, you won. If a brake job pays 3 hours and you do it in 4, great, you lost. But the thing that I will agree with on flat rate is that it can encourage people to be shitheads. But like you said, I think that's a management problem more than anything.
It certainly is. And I'll tell you this, as somebody who manages a shop, we struggle. We've even struggled with efficiency problems on a flat rate. Now, if you struggle with efficiency on flat rate, imagine how much you would struggle with efficiency without flat rate. That means
you have no motivation to actually do anything.
Right. You have no motivation to do anything. So it's like, okay, well, flat rate exists for that specific reason, is because without it, you struggle with any drive to actually execute and do well and have efficiency, because what do you care? If it takes you 6 hours or 2 hours, you don't give a shit. You're getting paid the same no matter what.
Yeah, that's that.
Period.
Yeah, that's and for anyone that says otherwise, talk to shops that started out on a guarantee. Just, I'm going to pay my guys hourly after 3 years, and see whether they're still doing that with everybody, or whether they were forced to put in some kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivator. That's not the word I'm looking for, but they had to put in some kind of system to encourage productivity.
Yeah, there's no question. And ultimately that's the rub of where all the issues lie around any of this stuff. And that's why these pay plans exist. And again, to me, as somebody who now, I had people who worked on commission-based pay and non-commission-based pay and whatever, all they do, these situations, is they create different management problems. Is if you have commission-based pay plans, you have to worry about X. If you have salary-based pay plans, you have to worry about Y. And they're just different management concerns that still require attention. It's not like you can just fucking go on autopilot regardless of which one you choose. So, it's a tough challenge. And when it comes to being an advisor, the funny thing about advisors, I guess we got a little sidetracked there, but the funny thing about advisors is, in terms of the technician advisor relationship, is it almost seems like technicians think that advisors somehow don't have their best interest in mind because they get paid the same way they do.
Yeah, well, to be fair, on the opposite side of that, I think oftentimes advisors will try and find the little things to make a ticket look more appealing to a customer to sell. Like, we'll cut this back to warranty time because I'll be able to sell it. Right. And which again is like, maybe that's the right choice. Maybe instead of charging 6 hours on this one job on a 25-hour ticket, we charge 5. And you know what? Who fucking cares? Because you're still going to do all that work in one day anyway.
Right. But maybe, yes, maybe so. Maybe, yeah. Again, that's always a challenge, one way or the other. It's hard to know, and frankly, every one of those circumstances has so much nuance related to it that the reality is difficult to actually put your thumb on and actually pinpoint what it is specifically.
So how do you think, like, from a customer standpoint, like, how does a customer win with an advisor other than do your homework, customer, before your shit is super broke so you don't get yourself in a pickle? Find a good place to have your car worked on before you need to have it worked on, please.
I mean, for sure, no question, find people. I mean, we have people who come to John, our advisor of the shop, from, you know, a lot of it's funny because, you know, obviously the VW world is a lot of people who have owned VWs for a long time, and they knew him from his last dealer, and they're on the opposite side of town. They're 30 minutes away, sometimes more. And they'll be like, oh shit. They hear him answer the phone at the shop, and they'll be like, oh, is this John from XYZ place? And they're surprised that it's him. Now that builds the credibility automatically. Having a relationship with a good advisor is certainly, I would say, the key to being a consumer. But more importantly than that, being an educated consumer is when someone tells you something, vet it, verify it, whatever, cross shop it. You know, to me, the one thing that I do in my world is if somebody sells me something, and again, because I'm a consumer in other ways. For example,
right.
If my air conditioner in my house breaks, I'm a consumer because I'm not, I frankly, when my air conditioning breaks, I don't have time to stop what I'm doing to go try to fix my air conditioning. You know, I can DIY lots of things. I understand how air conditioning systems work, whatever, but I'm not stopping what I'm doing to go do that. I'm going to hire somebody. But when that time comes and they hand me a price tag, I'm going to try to vet it to at least verify before I approve $1,000 worth of repairs that what they're charging me is a legitimate price.
Yeah, I agree. And I wish that customers would do that sooner in the process.
Yeah. And to be fair,
than later.
I don't think you shouldn't worry about them being the cheapest. And good example from my life that I always sticks in my mind is I had my air conditioner broke in my house. We were having a problem. We had somebody come out. A company, actually, ironically, was our old neighbor at our old location. And
that's awesome.
This is amazing. They quoted me $900 to replace this sensor in my HVAC system. I look it up. I verify it's like a $40 sensor, and then I look into it, and I'm like, oh my God, this sensor takes like 20 minutes to replace. Legitimately, like I replaced it in like 15 or 20 minutes, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Now, if they quoted me $250, I probably would have just told them to do it. $200, $250, $300, $350.
Especially if it was like, I have the part, I can do it now. Hell yeah, fix that shit.
I would have just told them to do it. But they quoted me like $980 or some shit like that. And I was like, what? Hold on. You know, for a sensor, but this doesn't seem right. Especially, you know, home air conditioning systems are pretty simple generally. So to me, in that circumstance, being an educated consumer, right? Like I was getting fucked. Now, the reality is I don't know if I was getting fucked by the company or the technician who was overquoting me so that he could get paid extra.
Yeah. Or the book time that was wrong or what, like, who knows? Who knows which piece of that puzzle was the problem?
Who knows? It's irrelevant to me. As a consumer, I'm getting fucked. So that's on me to be an educated consumer, make sure I'm not getting screwed, and then go from there. And I think that's the bare minimum required for you. Is it, hey, call one other place and just say, hey, I have this going on. And you know, if anybody who's watched any of our content, you may have seen, I have a few videos. I don't try not to do it too often where I've called places for pricing on shit in our videos. I've done it in fucking videos we've made. You should be able to do it when you're spending your goddamn money to at least verify that what you're paying is an appropriate price. right?
Yeah, if you're spending over, like, depending on your station and your budget and what kind of car it is, if you're spending over a couple $100, damn, like why wouldn't you, right? Maybe it's going to save you nothing. If like legit, the least you're going to ever get from that is a super good peace of mind that the place you're at is not fucking you.
Correct. And the reality, and this is the important thing to know, is that you shouldn't expect the place you're at to be the cheapest one ever. You shouldn't call 900 places until you find the cheapest one, because if you take your car to Joe Shit, the rag man, he might do a terrible fucking job. And if you have your car at a shop who's, let's say, they're experts in whatever, like us, VW, Audi, somebody who does BMW, Mercedes, whatever it may be, I would much prefer to go to a shop who specializes over just some random guy in his fucking garage who, if you
wait a minute,
God damn.
I oughta.
Yeah, over a guy who's just quoting you whatever to get the job because he has no overhead costs, right?
Yeah, I there are some amazing do-it-all shops out there with awesome technicians, but
sometimes they're really talented guys on occasion.
Sometimes way more than the specialty guys, right? But I don't think that is the norm when you include every shop, right? The franchise shops, the dealerships, the specialty indie shops like you guys, the do-it-all indie that is capable of dealership level work or better is very rare. So if you have to choose between Joey Shit Rag Man, whatever he said, and the specialty, I think oftentimes the specialty for your brand is probably worth the extra money, because they know your shit, man.
It should. The key for me is if you're a consumer, it should be roughly in line. It shouldn't be way whacked out. It should be close. If you think you're gonna save, let's say it's even $200 cheaper, but you got to get your car towed out. So let's say you tow your car out to save $200. Well, you really only saved $100 because you got to tow the car out. And so now you're towing your car out for $100. It might cost you more time. And unless they're more talented, it might cost you way more than that. And I think the challenge, I think, in this circumstance, and this is a tough part to be in as a consumer, is it's hard to know if you're making the right choice.
Yeah, that's why I really can't stress enough, like, find a place you trust if you can before you need to, like, just flat out trust them. It's almost like there's no excuse. You mentioned the, like, tow it across shop or across town to save $100. That exact thing almost happened to me. This was, long before I worked on cars. I had an Acura that the crank bolt was backing out. I don't know how this even happened. So the crank pulley was wobbling. I took it into Acura for the noise, and they're like, it's going to be $1,000. And I did not have the money for that. So a friend's like, oh, we'll take it to the shop over here. They're really good. So I went and picked the car up. I drove it like a dumbass, got about halfway there, and the car broke down. So I had to have it towed, which cost me another $100. And then they ended up, even though they quoted me less, they ended up charging me like $300 more than I would have just paid had I had factory parts, and it would have been done in like 2 days. And I was without my car for like a week and a half. Yeah. Dumb choice.
Yeah. So that's always the challenge, right? Is finding that balance. And I think that is the tough part. And as somebody who has been a consumer in a variety of things, software design is one of them. Construction's another one that I've been in the circumstance where I've gotten completely fucked, in a way that requires a massive thing with no lube straight up my ass.
You almost say that like it's a bad thing.
I mean,
is that a bad thing?
I mean, it's painful, I have to admit. So it's a challenge that anybody deals with, and I think I understand the circumstance of a customer, and I think that's what you and I generally tend to do in our content, or hope to do, is at least offer some educated perspective that that maybe isn't the silver bullet answer that everybody's hoping for, but at least educates you in a way that is useful for you.
Yeah. Whenever I deal in a consumer space where it's not like a clear cut and dry thing, right? I'm buying X thing from the store for X dollars. When it's dealing with quotes and like when we had the addition done and we're looking at a generator now, I always tell the guy, I'm like, look, I am not going to squabble over a couple of dollars, but I will make sure that we are like in the right space for this price and what we're dealing with. I may not be an expert at whatever, but I'm not stupid. Well, up for debate anyway. I am going to fact check, right? I'm going to fact check all this stuff, but I'm not going to go with one guy over another only based on $200, right? When you're talking thousands. Yeah. I think that's a good approach for a customer getting their car fixed too.
For sure. This episode, just so you know, just to recap, this episode is about service advisors.
I have to say, this might be the first time we've gotten so far off the path. Bravo for bringing it back around. I actually don't think we're so far off the path, because all this really does boil down to, if you're a customer, be an educated customer. Today, I feel like there's really no excuse not to at least have some knowledge of your car and what could be wrong with it and what the dealership is telling you, despite the fact that the advisor may think and may give you the idea that you have to say yes or no right that second when they're talking to you about a repair. You don't. You can call them back. You can sit down and make a phone call. You don't have to say yes or no right that second. As in the advisor and, bringing technicians pretty heavy into this too, have some damn empathy for your fucking customers. Their shit's broken. Of course they're not happy. Nobody fucking likes paying to get their car fixed. No one. Chill out. Help them out. And just be cool to them, man. You don't need to be an egotistical dick face in order to be a good service advisor.
Yeah. So to go back, I think advisors and the challenging part, I think the most challenging part, for all the shortcomings of advisors, and I think there's certain different parts of them that they tend to broadly have shortcomings, but they have a really tough job. And I think most people probably don't realize, especially when cars are under warranty. So most people have the experience, at least they're generally experienced with advisors, are them trying to sell them stuff. But a lot of what advisors deal with are warranty stuff, or at least it's a good portion of what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And usually people are fucking assholes. Is when their car is under warranty and it's broken, they are fucking assholes. And I can tell you, as a general rule, the best place, if you service your car at a dealership, the best thing you could do is, when your car is under warranty, be a nice person, treat people with respect. Their job is to help you fix your car. Treating them like shit does not help you. It doesn't get your car fixed any faster, and frankly, isn't going to earn you any fucking grace if you have the opportunity to get it when that time comes.
Yeah, I have seen that work really bad for customers when they roll up acting a damn fool on a car that is under warranty, or, like we talked about a week or two ago, every single warranty claim is case by case. There is no blanket. This is fixed. Everything's case by case. And you want the advisor to be your advocate. You want them on your side. A good friend of mine, Bogey, put it really, really well. And she came at it from a advisor, technician, shop to customer standpoint. But look, it is the team of advisor, technician, service department, customer, or whatever, right? Whoever's in that thing. It is the job of the team to fix the car. All of us are on the same team. That's the opposing team, man. Let's focus on this other thing. Us bitching at each other, acting like assholes, is going to get nothing done. And I think that everybody in that role, whether it's technician, advisor, customer, can, I think, benefit from a little refresher course on that shit.
Certainly. I think it's a perspective shift, right? Is recognizing the balance between, hey, listen, we all need to make money. Everybody needs to be efficient and get shit done. And most advisors want to sell shit if they can. That's their goal. Do some of them give way too much shit away? 100%. Some of them do. Do some of them chop down every ounce of every hour that a tech tries to give them? 100%. Some of them do. Do some of them try to give a discount to every customer that walks in the fucking door because that's the only way they can sell work? 100%. Some of them do. But have a little bit of empathy on the other way, and maybe, to me, if you're, and this is really speaking to technicians, but if your fucking balls are so big and you're so capable, go sell the work yourself next time. Is say, hey, let me give this a shot this time, and you sell the work. You talk to the customer. You tell somebody their car is broken. You give them terrible news that it's going to cost them a few $1,000s to fix their car, and they're going to be without a car for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It is not like when you sell a big job like that as a tech, you're super excited. All that excitement you're feeling, like the customer's having the opposite, because now they, are going to rack up a bunch of credit card debt, or they don't have $500. They don't have $100 to fix their shit. So, man, just like we all buy shit, right? No matter what we do for a living, we all buy shit. And when something goes dumb, you're pissed. Being an asshole to that other person, unless it's DJI's customer support on Twitter, is rarely going to get you anything worth a damn. You're going to be way better off being nice and polite and helpful, and like trying to work with them, not against them, on solving the problem.
Calibration issues around a gimbal.
Fuck that. So the full thing, I bought a DJI gimbal, the new 4. It didn't work right out of the box with my iPhone, which oddly enough, on all their pictures, they showed this same outline minus the Apple. Back and forth with DJI, got nowhere. I had it a week. They said, oh, send it in and we'll get it back to you in like 2 to 3 weeks. I'm like, that's bullshit. Shit's brand new. I hop on B&H customer support online, which is where I bought it from. Dude, not even a question. He's like, okay, you got 2 options. You can buy one, buy another one, send your old one back, and I'll refund you. Or you could send it in and we'll send you a new one. I'm like, well, if I'm going to get a refund, I'll just buy another one. And that was Friday. The gimbal showed up this morning.
Does it work?
It works perfectly. It's actually a great little gimbal, by the way.
Fascinating.
Yeah, pretty happy with it. It allows you to do your phone in both landscape and portrait, which is pretty rad.
That's neat. I like that. You're going to be super fancy now.
Yeah, I'm gimbaling fucking everything now.
You are going to be.
I'm on a gimbal right now, actually. It's
amazing. You're not even moving, though.
Nah, it's got that weird like head thing, like the TikTok filter where it like follows your head and looks all weird. I've never done that. But anyway, we are now super off track. So let's wrap this shit up.
Anyway, yeah, service advisors. The ultimate goal, I would say, let's wrap it up with something intelligent to say. Advisors, they're humans too.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Some of them are humans too. Okay. Most of them are not humans. Some of them are humans. And if you wanted to get the best, let's do 2 things. One, if you're a service advisor and you're good at what you do and you care about people and you do a good job and you sell shit, awesome, good on you.
Love you. You're very underappreciated if that is you.
If you are an advisor who just gives a shit about selling stuff and you could care less about people after you're done with the sale, fuck you. If you are a consumer and you'd like to get the best out of your service advisor, I would say build a good relationship with them, and that will probably go a long way.
I would add, bring them donuts and tell them to make sure they share with their technicians. That will always get you a little bit extra from time to time. So everyone likes donuts.
It can't hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah. Best $9 you'll ever spend on getting your car fixed. I promise you that.
Yeah. All right. That's an episode. Service advisors. We were on track the whole time. We didn't go off track at all.
I'm proud of us. This is the first time it's happened. It must be the 75 Long Island iced teas that I drank. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, that's out.
Next week.
Bye-bye.